Human trafficking is such a complex issue, and it is complex because it's under the radar, because victims often see themselves as to blame for what is happening to them because of circumstances. They don't see themselves as victims. And we know that it's here in our community, and the complexity of it is that we really need everybody to be aware, and there needs to be such a coordinated effort to address human trafficking. We need law enforcement, we need the state's attorney's offices, the local nonprofits that are working to serve the victims, the schools, the reporters, the DJs at the radio station. The more that we can talk about it and the more that we can help folks be educated, the more that we really can start to address human trafficking. Right. We have the 50 corridor, so it is a prime location for folks to be able to be trafficked by vehicles. There's the ports that are close by, and so we really are in a zone where human trafficking is happening in this community. We're also seeing it when there is a lower socioeconomic challenge for families, and so remembering that human trafficking is the use of fraud, force, or coercion for an exchange of goods or services or labor. And so we may see that there is labor trafficking happening with how we always think, I say we as the community because it's been talked about so much with our immigrant and foreign national community, but it's also happening in our own community with United States citizens. Maybe there's a landlord that has chosen to say, you can't have the place that you're living unless you exchange drugs or sex. And on the internet, there are so many cases where we are seeing perpetrators targeting our young people. And so it's happening here in our schools, it's happening in the community. And so when we talk about things that are happening locally, it's so important that parents are checking in with their kids on phones and on gaming systems, because perpetrators are online and they are using ways to really sort of coerce kids into sending, sexual pictures, maybe communicating with people who they think are young friends and people that are playing games, but really it's the perpetrators out there, and they're really grooming young children in order to gain something from them. Social media can be useful in so many ways, but there are so many things that it can be used in a negative way, and we get comfortable, we get complacent, and we think that, kids will say like, oh, I met a new friend online, and we really have to be diligent as adults of checking in. I have 4 teenage boys at home. Even our oldest at 18, we check in. Who are you online with? Those are the important conversations, because sometimes it always isn't what it seems to be.
Yeah. Is there a link between human trafficking and mental illness?
Absolutely. Human trafficking is something that there is coercion that is used. It's fraud, force, and coercion. So when someone is in a desperate state, when someone is really needing connection, there is the way that the traffickers really do get into the minds of the victims, being able to, sort of move them to a direction of, you need me. You can't get through this without me. I am your lifeline. It's really a lot of mental mind games that go in, which leads the victims to believe that they're to blame versus seeing themselves as victims.
How do you confront that? I mean, communication, of course, is part of that.
Yeah. Well, maybe just, really looking at it from a standpoint of awareness and helping people to be able to see the red flags. If someone's not speaking for themselves, if there is a huge age gap between someone that you're seeing in the community, if someone isn't wearing, clothes that would normally be something that you would see, if we're looking at places where you're seeing people sort of shepherd from one place to another, it's about checking your gut as a community member and just keeping your eyes wide open. Yeah. We've done lots of programs in Talbot County Public Schools with the teachers. We're working really closely with some of the teachers at Caroline County, and we're beginning to expand that programming. We've also been working closely in Queen Anne's County and Kent County, and we're doing a huge program in Dorchester County next week. So it really is, our job is to help get the word out, spread the awareness. People are hungry for information. This is a topic where people hear about it, they want to know more, and so that's really the premise for why we're doing what we're doing during Sexual Assault Awareness Month and focusing in on human trafficking. So about 2 years ago, we started a partnership with the Avalon Theatre doing a speaker series, and we bring content experts in. And while we have established ourselves as experts in some areas of mental health and a lot of areas of sexual assault, being the only rape crisis center on the shore, sometimes there's a higher level of knowledge, and I've always said, like, my job is not to be the expert in everything, it's to bring the experts to the table to help really bolster the community conversation. And so we're really fortunate to have Tom Stack, who is in charge of the Human Trafficking and Sexual Assault Program for the City of Baltimore, coming to be a part of our panel discussion. We also have Heather Amador, who is the Deputy Director for the Governor's Office of Prevention and Policy. She used to work in Anne Arundel County at the State's Attorney's Office. She led their anti-human trafficking program. And then sitting next to Tom and Heather will be Susan Ahlstrom, who is our regional navigator at For All Seasons. And Susan works with all 17 rape crisis centers across the state to make sure that there's that comprehensive connectedness for the victims. And I get the pleasure of being able to sort of do the Oprah talk back and be able to get some information, have Tom, Heather, and Susan share their expertise. But the beauty of the speaker series is that it's both live in person at the Avalon, but it's also live streamed on Facebook. And the community can ask questions. You can send your questions in through Facebook. You can ask them in person. It's about creating a community dialogue and a community conversation. And sometimes the outside perspective helps to shed new light on a topic that you and I have talked about for a long time. We want everyone to come. we want teachers, we want parents, we want faith communities, we want law enforcement, Department of Social Services. Anyone who interacts with human beings can benefit from this program, and especially those in the service industry. And being able to understand that human trafficking is here in our community, and it's not something that happens over there or to those people. It's happening right here, and it's happening across our state. So the speaker series is called Connecting Our Community to Stopping Human Trafficking. It's at the Avalon Theatre on April 16th at 6:30, and we'll go till about 8 o'clock. Again, it's in person, or you can watch it on Facebook Live. If you go to humantraffickingishere.eventbrite.com, you can register for the event, but please don't feel like you have to register ahead of time. We would love to have a count, but you can also walk in the door that night or log in, and you can find out more information about the human trafficking program that we support and run through For All Seasons at forallseasonsinc.org.